All right. Let's talk about the YCS. So, first and foremost, this was always part of the plan. So I posted this because I left early Wednesday morning and I got on a Southwest flight to Austin. And upon getting on, they go, "You're on a 737 Max," and I went, "Uh oh." I was like, "Oh God, I could die." I'm like, "Do I want to wait for another plane?" And I was like, "No, I think it's unlikely enough that I feel comfortable doing it. But in case I do die, I want it to be very funny." So I posted this so that if I died in a plane crash, then people would like go crazy about it. Um, and of course, nothing happened, but I thought it might have been funny. So here's how the WCQ went. Let me give you a little bit of preamble about what I was doing. I didn't have as much time to test as I would have liked, but I did have some time to test, and I did put a lot of hours into it. I real quick want to thank the people who tested with me. Peeps tested a fair amount with his dog shit ass deck. Ivy was pretty helpful. The Spriggan's Booty Discord was generally very helpful, but I was not around nearly as much as I should have been. They were able to help when I was around, but I was not super helpful in return. Not really what you want to do in a circle. Anyway, I spent some time getting to know the cards and I felt pretty good about them. I took that the Jib and Lundradine Masterclass as well, which I would recommend. But the general consensus was that people didn't actually really know what to be doing, and the reason that they didn't know what to be doing is because obviously the info cards were legal day of the event. And our format was going to shake out at least a little bit different than the OCG, which meant that we didn't have an exact one-to-one piece of infrastructure we could just pick off of in NetDeck. But the release of exactly Aerial Razor and Necroquip Banshee as TCG exclusives threw an entire wrench into the whole operation because, God forbid, now you can construct your extra deck in such a mechanism that, like, theoretically you can play through anything. Necroquip enables you to play through, like, 2 pieces of targeted negation, for instance, which is shocking. As some of the people on my team were testing no material because we couldn't think of anything else that would, like, out the setup. The only downside to all of it was that Necroquip eats what is a huge piece of real estate in the extra deck herself, and then if you want her on her own to represent extension, you need to be playing M7 as well, which is 2 cards, which is really hard. Many people were cutting the OTK stuff, were boarding the OTK stuff. It was really shocking. But going into the event, I felt confident in my ability to play the deck, but not super confident in my list particularly. I didn't feel confident with my hand trap ratios, didn't feel confident with my extra deck. I was siding almost exclusively for Snake Eye Fiendsmith. The main was built for Snake Eye Fiendsmith, and then the sideboard was like tools for going first and second as necessary. We'll get to that when we get to the actual stuff. Can we see the list? It's nothing special. I can pull it up if you want, but it's really nothing special. So we get into... I get into Austin. I come a day early because I have some family who live there. My brother lives in Austin, and I spend the day with him. It was wonderful. As you know, I'm off red meat, but I broke it for this. So I was shitting out of my doo-doo ass like nobody's business. I had some wonderful barbecue. We every place we went in Austin. I love Austin. I was born in Austin. One of my favorite cities in the world. It's so wonderful. It's like vibrant. They have like a downtown. There's a lot of shit you can do. And the food is just so shocking. The food is just unbelievable. And I was so happy. Everything I ate was like some of the best I'd ever eaten of it. It was really, really shocking. And so I probably put on a lot of weight, and I also shit out of my doo-doo ass a billion fucking times. We spent all day together. We had a great time. And then Thursday, people started coming in. I housed a bunch of people who were waiting for their fucking hotels to open in an Airbnb that Peeps had booked. So this Airbnb, it was not necessarily an Airbnb. It was more like a hotel than an Airbnb. And we got there, and we were checking in like it was a hotel. And I was like, what's going on here? It's an apartment complex, and all the unrented apartment rooms are just Airbnbs. This strikes me as very illegal, but I don't know anything about, zoning laws in Austin, Texas, so who knows. Also, on the front floor it looked like it had at one point been a WeWork. So I was like, this has just been through the fucking gamut in terms of what it is. So we go up to our room. It's fine. It's like pristine. Like clearly has not been lived in ever. And it's just me at this point. I'm waiting on Peeps, and I'm setting up. I'm playing some Alestrals games. Sonny of the Top Cut podcast, I think now no longer a part of the Top Cut podcast. I think they hung it up. Planned an Alestrals local at a nearby shop, and so me and Ivy were practicing for that, and then me and the YouTuber Super Insane, if you're familiar, were practicing for that. It was a great time, and then we ran some games in which some members of the testing circle weren't confident telling people to fuck off. Like, you know, if you play at competitive REL and someone tries to take something back, you kind of have to be like, no, come on, man. They were uncomfortable doing that, and at a recent event, someone had kind of taken a round from them by doing a take back. And so we were like, oh, well, Peeps is like a big guy. Let's just make Peeps role play like a standoffish jerk so you can get prepared to to do like mean rounds, you know, rounds where you gotta like put your foot down. That was funny. And then I had some voodoo donuts. I know, classic touristy thing to do, but they were good. They were good. And I got a text message after doing this that was just truly incredible. The text message was like, hey, I think I just saw you leave, or it was a Twitter message rather. I think I just saw you leaving Voodoo Donuts. Are you in Austin? If so, do you know how to get weed? And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? But regrettably, the answer was also yes, because I have family there and they smoke. So I was like, probably I do actually know. But I was like, I'm not going to tell you. Anyway, so we all fucked around. Peeps got in. And then later that night, we all went to an Alestrals local. And let me tell you, the Alestrals local was like, first of all, there were like 30% women there. It was like, oh. But it was like the Coder contingent, the Joseph contingent, a bunch of stragglers. And we hop in an Uber to get to this local because it's in the middle of nowhere. And we're driving and we're like, there's no way it's right there. Because we're driving down. If you go a little outside Austin, you see just like blasted heath after blasted heath. It's in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, there's no way that that's it. It looks like a fucking compound, but it is. So we pull in. It is a Goonie golf place, a mini golf place. Goonie golf is like mini golf, but with like animatronic dinosaurs and stuff. And you also have to jack off. But we hop in, and I'm like, this is a Goonie golf place. This isn't like this isn't a local. And then we look over, and there is a World War II style bunker to our left, with the logo of the OTS on it. And I'm like, okay. It's this big corrugated steel structure. We walk in, and it's got like hammocks and padding hanging from the ceiling like a bunker would, but it is an OTS. It was fucking crazy. I was like, this is the weirdest, most out of the way thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And but it was next to it was a concession stand for the Goonie Golf. They were selling beer, and you could, you know, drink the beer in and around the location. I don't think maybe in the location, but around the location. And we went to the concession stand to get beer, and what do we see but a huge like Nazi flag, like a flag with a swastika on it. And I was like, oh my God. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, what do you think? And the guy sees me kind of freak out a little. He goes, oh, don't worry. This place used to be a World War II museum. And I was like, oh? And he was like, and they converted it into a fucking OTS. And so they had all this like memorabilia of like, they had like the like a statue of like a commander or something. They had a bunch of like Nazi shit. And it was like, oh my God. And he was like, yeah, we obviously aren't gonna display the Nazi shit. And I'm like, yeah, I appreciate that. It was so, take it down. It wasn't really up, right? It was just around, you know? It was so funny. So we're chilling, we're having fun. And I gotta say, The fucking Alestrals local was so nice. 4 rounds, 20 something people. I ended 3-1. I lost to Kevin, who brought Earth because he thought everyone was on Thunder Nexus correctly. I think that's super insane. And the one, the only Bean Soldier TV. We're both undefeated after 4. And I would imagine Josh would get it from strength of schedule because Super Insane had a pull down against Peeps. Peeps played Fire. That was cool. It was like Caleb was there. Not sure it was there. Swolax was there. Trish was there. Which we'll get to a little bit later. But it was a really fun time. So this is Thursday, and we basically just go to bed. I meet up with a Gauge contingent for a little while, and then we go to bed. Friday, there are events. I don't remember. I don't think this is the case that usually there are events on Friday at American events, but there were events on Friday. So I was like, let's go. So I didn't have Fiendsmiths at this time. I had made arrangements with someone to meet up and get Fiendsmiths. And that person was coming in Thursday evening. But at 1:30 in the morning on Thursday evening, everyone got fucked. And that's because there was a Y2K style cybersecurity vulnerability that took down not only the Konami sign-up website, but also a bunch of flights. So this person who was flying in was not able to come until Friday morning. So I'm like sweating, but I'm like, whatever, we have an extra day. I'm not going to play events Friday in that case, but no big deal. The not a cybersecurity, literally a coding fuck up. That's cybersecurity. If it compromises critical infrastructure, it's a cybersecurity fuck up. I did end up getting them. I was very thankful that someone had them and was willing to fucking bring them. Let me just tell you right now, every person in that location had that problem. Every single person was like, I need Fiendsmiths, I need Fiendsmiths. Like, the vendors were out of them almost momentarily. People were like out in front of the event space trying to like negotiate trades. It was horrible. And listen, I have so many feelings about this specific situation that is so frustrating. But the short of it is, I think releasing info day of the NAWCQ, including new cards that change how it is played, is actually kind of cool. I think it's awesome that there are stakes not only for people to play well at this event, but also for people to deck build. But Fiendsmith being a secret meant that a lot of people were not able to get their hands on the cards they absolutely needed. Like, this makes sense and works if the Fiendsmith is a super. But because it was a secret, and Tract was a secret, and Requiem was a secret, and Lurie has not been reprinted in forever, it became this huge ordeal for everyone to try and make it work. And it was so frustrating that something that could have been really cool and interesting was just completely kneecapped by a rarity issue. It was so infuriating. I am lying about Lurie, by the way. Anyway, thankfully I was able to get them, and I was able to get Charmies. Thank God, vendors were not out of Charmies. Like, Charmies were not super hard to get. Fiendsmiths were a disaster, but Charmies were fine. Anyway, so I walk around, I say hi to fans, and real quick, in case any of you no one corrected me on YCS Niagara, by the way. In case any of you were around and we took pictures, do reply to this thread. I love seeing all the fun stuff that people brought, and we took pictures and shit. I had a good time. Friday night, I went with Half Miss to see Esther's Follies, and I had to go with Half Miss because no one else was like gay enough. And that was fun. It was like a little it was like a little musical review. It was a little Gen X gay. It was a little Gen X. Sometimes I was like, I get it. But it was cute. And then we started drinking. And wow, every bar around on 6th Street was so cool. They all had their own separate vibe and like cool stuff you can drink. I was so shocked at the variety of fun stuff to do in Austin. And so after like 10 drinks, I'm plastered. And who should roll up to me but Jeff fucking Leonard? And I'm just like, oh, okay, hi. And I'm like, you can see I'm doing my best here. This is where I'm like trying to get my way through this conversation. Doug in the background on his way to delete a tweet. But it was fun. I recovered, and we was up on time on Saturday. So Saturday was the event proper. Now, again, I wasn't expecting to top. I would have been fine. I was hoping to make day 2, but I was being realistic. I was like, if I don't make day 2, I'm not going to be a bitch about it. I think that probably I have not put in the hours to get to day 2. I feel confident in my play, but not confident in my understanding of like what the metagame theoretically could be. But I built Recall almost specifically for the mirror. And then, unfortunately, I didn't realize what was going to happen. So, because so many people were priced out of Fiendsmith or unable to get it or unwilling to do the mad dash to find it on day of, there were a lot of decks that just were not playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And I was out after 5 rounds. I think literally my worst Nationals performance of all time since like 2015. But I feel like I didn't play any Yu-Gi-Oh! Whatsoever. And it feels weird to say, but it was like my first match was up against Tenpai, and I think I made the right decisions, but my opponent just like, it's Tenpai. They have it or they don't. My second match was up against Stun. It was Runic Stun, and I had it and they didn't. I played sloppy that game, but only because Stun like trips you up in stupid ways that I wasn't super prepared for. My third match was up against Tenpai. Again, either they have it or they don't. In this one, I was a little more lucky. They didn't. My fourth match was up against Branded. I lost the die roll, and they puppet locked me games 1 and 3. I drew Mourner in game 1 and Mourner in game 3, which was not sufficient. And then my fifth match was up against the Mirror, and I was like, oh my god, the Mirror. And I win game 1, they win game 2. Game 3, I open Imperm, Skill Drain, Flamberge, Crossout, and I'm like, well, or Imperm, Skill Drain, like Lurie, and I'm like, well, it is what it is, They had to check for Lurie, and we did just end up losing. And I don't know, I feel like I played each match as well I could. I feel like and no shade to any of my opponents. No shade to any of my opponents. I think they all were playing decks they were comfortable on, or they felt that they couldn't have access to the stuff that they wanted to play. And I talked to all of them, and I had a great time each time. But I really feel like the games just had very little to do with Yu-Gi-Oh! And I don't know. It's a weird format in that after Swiss, seeing the top 64, seeing that Snake Eye Fiendsmith, the deck that everyone thought was going to be 90% of the meta, actually was like 47. It makes you happy insofar as, okay, it's not a tier 0 format, but it's irritating because, I mean, if you look at the list of the decks that did top, let me see if I can find it here, yeah. I mean, Snake Eye is, of course, Snake Eye Fiendsmith. Yubel is Yubel Fiendsmith. Another deck that I like playing against, I think is interesting. But like, Tenpai Dragon is a deck that aims not to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Runic Stun aims not to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Gimmick Puppet is an FTK. Branded aims to Puppet Lock. Labyrinth aims to set 5. And Ritual Beast, though they do combos, is still a shifter deck. So it's just a strange place to be. In that that you can have a tournament run where your decision making in game really doesn't matter at all. And again, I'm not using this as a John to be like I should have gone farther or something. It just means that the skill that I wasn't able to hone as effectively as I should have wasn't my in-game decision making, which it has been in the past, but was my deck building. Looking at the decks that did really well, hugely good choice to be putting Bestials in main, which I did not get to. Hugely good choice to be playing Silohat Rabbit, which I thought I didn't have space for. They had all cut Necroquip, which I did get to, but it just feels bad that so much of this event was theory when I had misunderstood thinking it would be in-game decision-making for the mirror. Even the mirrors we saw on camera weren't really determined by in-game decision-making, but were frequently determined by strength of hand. So, you know, it just goes to show that you can misapply in many different directions, which is rough. And people were, oh my God, I made the mistake of tuning into stream chat. People are always like this, but people being like, cheat. Fucking Ruben, like, doing something slightly incorrect in Top Cut. Ruben, by the way, going to Worlds, doing something slightly incorrect in Top Cut, and everyone's like, he doesn't know what he's doing. It's like, these cards have been out for a week, man. The only people who are good at this format have spent most of their time theorying, not practicing. That's because apparently that's what is going to matter more. Like, that's why they are there and you are not. You don't get to be like, well, I would have done better. I would have taken Adderall and gone crazy mode. Fuck. And I'm not even going to comment on the backup match Trishula game. Chat was fucking sufferable for. Oh my God. That one was like, legitimately, they were like, I'm going to infer the board state based on Trishula's facial expressions and then condemn both players for cheating and playing slow. And then there was a judge call and all of chat was like, chat. And I was like, you people don't know anything about what's going on. You are out of your fucking mind. Ugh. Anyway, a little upsetting. I was a little upset about my performance, but at the same time, I don't know. I wasn't really expecting too much out of this one. I could tell based on my testing that I was just going to get outclassed when it came to deck building, and I was just incorrect about how much that would matter. But in the middle of day 2, what should happen but Biden dropped out? Peeps and I took this picture. I was the first one to tell him. Oh my God, it really happened. It was truly wonderful. Anyway, so Saturday ended pretty quickly for me. I didn't spend a ton of time like getting plastered on Saturday just because I was like, I need a day to kind of rest. And it was nice. I am invigorated insofar as I'm glad that there's not a break in the action. Like usually there's about a month of no tournaments and there's not this year because it means that I'll be able to kind of hit the ground running after a lot of the lessons that were learned from deck building this time. Super excited for that. Thanks for playing the Vayu mirror against me in Cube Draft. Yeah, sorry I ducked out so early. Late Saturday, I think maybe like Shurit DMs me and is like, hey, we need one more for an Edison Cube draft. And I'm like, sure, I'll do that shit. So at like 11:30 p.m., I show up to do this. And I draft what I think is the literal best deck in the draft. And then I play the person across from me and they have drafted the other half of my deck. And I get wiped. I just get, there's no other word for it. I just get outplayed. And I was like, I'm heading out. And they were like, what? And I was like, well, I lost. And they were like, well, you can just play other people. And I'm like, I think I need to go to bed. So, Sunday, I wake up early for 3v3. Me and Ivy and Peeps are going to do a 3v3. We get there, we realize it's been filled. I'm mad. So instead, I gave myself a little side quest over the course of the weekend. I said, I'm going to build Gimmick Puppet. And I did get it done. But in so doing, I angered the one, the only Team Samurai X1. Let me see if I can... it's not on here. But I made a tweet that was like, hey, if you have this stuff and are willing to trade, I'm looking for it. Or if you're a vendor and have it for sale. I don't know, the fucking Alter Reality Games guy, could you please DM me? And it was a bunch of like gimmick puppet commons. And Sam was like, Joseph, delete this because on stream in the go round or the last round of the day, Sam at 7-1, he's having a crazy tournament, gets gimmick puppet FTK'd on stream, and I'm like, whoa, man, what a disaster. I'm glad that he has beef with the gimmick puppet community now. I'm happy about that. He actually mentioned after day one that both of his losses were to exactly gimmick puppet. It's so cool. There's an FTK deck in the format. It's like neat. Oh my god. Game 3 he got sacked. I don't know. That's what the deck does, right? Can you even call it getting sacked? It was like he put his opponent at 68 going into like a 3-turn time as an opponent goes evenly matched. He goes Desiree target evenly. He goes Forbidden Droplets send evenly and a couple cards in hand. Negate the board, banish it, and then he goes, and now the field spell that turns off interaction. And Sam's like, no. And even though there's only a couple minutes left, of course, Gimmick Puppet burns, so we'll be able to overcome the Lackery burn. It was so painful. Ugh. So then Sunday, after spending some time at the event, I get to spend some time with my family again. We went out to eat again. We went to Pinballs, which is like an arcade, which was really nice. It was a nice little place. We went to a bunch of little Korean shops that are around where they live that sell like little kitschy figurines and everything, which were fun. Austin, you know, it's frustrating. I feel like a lot of the like shops that are still in mini malls just follow a path where, you know how like animals eventually turn into crabs, the carcinogization, right? Like stores do that, but with Walgreens. Like every store around me is like slowly converging into a Walgreens or CVS style orientation. And Austin still has shops that sell like nothing, that sell like little plastic 3D printed babies, and that's all they sell. And they sell like 4 of them a week, and somehow they're still in business. And that was fun to go around those. We went to a Museum of the Weird, which was like a really fun place insofar as it was like a Ripley's Believe It or Not knockoff that was like about as racially insensitive as it possibly could be. And we basically spent the whole time being like, oh, wow, that's still up, huh? It was fun as hell. Then we just we went home. We had some stuff to drink. I got to meet my brother's dog, who eventually took a liking to me after I gave her a bunch of treats. And then I got to spend the rest of the night with the Gage crew. We had a good time. We talked about a bunch of video stuff, and I'm really excited to show you a bunch of the stuff I have in the pipeline as it comes out. There's one thing I'm really excited for, but probably will not be up until, I am hoping, the end of September. But, you know, we'll see based on how things shake out. Yeah, but that's that. I had a great time in Austin. I loved meeting everyone. One of the most fun places that there ever has been a YCS. It's just a wonderful mix of like the locations in Austin feel nice and like local. Like I know it's like touristy, but like it is nice to be like, here are some bars with character instead of like, here's a fucking Hard Rock Cafe for the millionth time, the way Niagara was. And it's nice to be able to go to like, we went to Magnolia for brunch and like all these places that are like famous for their food. And every meal we had was like some of the best food I've ever had. One more time. Obviously I'm a little biased, Austin born, but it is such a nice place. It just sucks it's getting hollowed out for the fucking San Francisco expats, the fucking Silicon Valley freaks. And let me see. We had this. They got a keto. I did like how many stores were like this. They were like selling like fucking fail blog things and like this book that every millennial had in 2010. Like, what if like a prayer candle had Godzilla on it? It was crazy. And then, one last thing. There was a pool at the like Crush Cards Gauge Doug Contingent's place that we went in a couple of times, and there were grasshoppers. The 33rd floor, grasshoppers. Oh my God. Grasshoppers love to jump in pools and die. The whole night when we were there, I'm picking out grasshoppers and I'm like, live, live, and they just jump back in. It was unbelievable. They were so excited to fucking drown. Natural selection, I guess. They yearn for the pool. But it was fun. I was glad to have met everyone. I was glad to have had some fun, gone out. I hope everyone who did go had a good time. But the one thing that I felt while I was there that I feel again today is that every single person there was so excited to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Everyone was so excited to talk to me about decks they were trying, strategies they were looking forward to, releases they hoped came soon, Rush Duel, fingers crossed. But so few people were playing the format. So few people were like, I would ask people, like, so are you on Snake Fiends today? And they're like, I couldn't buy it, or I couldn't get them, or I didn't think it was the right choice because I think it might get banned soon. Of the like 5,000 people in the room, I talked to maybe 100 people who were like, yeah, I've been practicing Snake Fiends. And I know that's usually how it is in any competitive game. You know, very few people are taking it super seriously. But it was such a disparity between how excited everyone was to play the game and how uninterested they were in playing exactly the main event. The Ultimate Time Wizard, for example, 500 people in a fucking UTW with a top 8 cutoff. Jesus Christ. Give them a YCS at this point. I know so many people who had so much fun playing Rivalry. Even Speeds was doing well. But just very little about the actual YCS. Oh, last thing I want to say. They're dropping Tengu. That's so rough. I was taking the Rescue Rabbit survey, and they were talking about like supported Time Wizard formats, and previously it was Goat Edison 2011, and they removed 2011 and put October 2019. They're moving past Tengu, but I will tell you, goodbye. Not super. You hate to see it go, but you love to watch it leave. Jillian.
To talk about on stream tonight, but first, I need you some soup.
Come here. I missed you.
I missed you.
Anyway, I got on a plane at 3 a.m. and I got back here.
About my tumble.
And then I went to bed and I woke up and now I'm doing this. Jillian wants to tell you about falling, and then we'll move on.
So, I didn't have as much fun the past few days as Joseph did. On Saturday, I was supposed to go to a family barbecue, except I was going to leave at 9:30 in the morning, and it was 9 a.m. I was going to take a quick shower, and as I got into the shower, I slipped and hit my right foot and my lower back, 2 body parts you need to drive a long distance. And the thing about, I fall a lot, chat, and like the pain usually sets in a day after. The thing about falling, you know, like when toddlers, like they fall, you hear like a boom, there's like a pause, and then they start bawling. Like just, you know, the biggest cries ever. I want you all to know that happens when you're an adult and fall too. It's the same reaction. I hope it doesn't happen to you, but if it does, it's just boom. Ah! So that was my time.
Rough stuff.
That rhymed.
To close off this segment, a quick thank you to all of my opponents. They were all super nice. I had really fun games. I was having fun the whole time I was playing. And thank you to these two for letting me reenact these. I was like, oh please, I gotta report it. This one specifically, first action of the day, Shifter Charmy. I was like, That's fucking Yu-Gi-Oh, man. We're so back.
I like kissing you. I haven't gotten to kiss you lately.
Oh, well, you know how it goes. Oh, and huge congratulations to Trishula TTV for getting second after missing Worlds in Master Duel by 1/10 of one game. The boy is going to Worlds in TCG. Incredible. Come here.
What?
I'll give you one more kiss.
Did you show them all of Sadie's cool toys?
I didn't, but I will.
Chat, I won a toy for Sadie and a claw machine. And the picture is really cute. Sadie looks so proud of me.
Well, regardless, I'm happy he's going to Worlds. That's why he's on my Alestriad team. I just have to say, go Cryo Scorch! All right. Y'all ready? Oh, people gave me so much shit for this, okay?
And they had a problem with my sleeves, and I don't understand what the issue is. These look fine to me.
These are completely fine. What's the problem?
Go in the hazmat.
No,
Like, see the
there's literally
scum on them. Look at that. They're fine. They're fine. There's nothing wrong with them.
no issue. I've only played about.
So, like, I had, like, 5 packs of these left, and about a month ago, I was like, well, I just won't change them till Nats, and this is the result. How do they even shuffle still? They're glossy. It was hard to shuffle them. It was like shuffling 2 blocks of cheese together.
100 rounds on these.
Anyway, I'm going to throw them in the washing machine and see if I can't fix them.